The strangest thing I've ever received was a photograph taken next week. It arrived in a plain envelope with no sender, no stamp, and no return address. The photograph showed me sitting alone in a small cafe, reading a newspaper. On the back was a date exactly 7 days in the future. I assumed it was some elaborate prank, until 7 days later. At precisely 3:17 p.m., I walked past a cafe I'd never visited before and stopped cold. Everything was identical. The same corner table, the same jacket I was wearing, the same newspaper, folded open to the same page. Even the coffee cup sat in exactly the same position. Someone had taken the photograph before it happened. I spent hours searching the cafe. I asked the staff if anyone had been taking pictures. Nobody had. No security camera pointed toward the table. No explanation made sense. Then I noticed something strange. In the photograph, a small article on the newspaper had been circled in red ink. I looked at the real newspaper. The circle wasn't there. Someone had added it afterward. The article was about a safety deposit box discovered during the demolition of an old bank. The box had apparently been sealed for over 40 years. Inside was a list of names. 27 names. Most meant nothing to me except one. Mine. I wasn't just surprised, I was confused. The box had been locked decades before I was born, yet somehow my name appeared on a document inside it. I contacted the bank. After weeks of persistence, I managed to obtain a copy of the list. My name was there. Not a similar name, not a relative. Mine. Even my date of birth was correct. At the bottom of the page, someone had written a note by hand. Do not let him see the photograph. No explanation, no signature, just that sentence. Naturally, I wanted to know what photograph they meant. A month later, I got my answer. Another envelope appeared outside my apartment. Again, no sender. Inside was a second photograph. It showed the same cafe, the same table, the same newspaper, the same seat. But this time, I wasn't alone. Someone was sitting across from me. Someone with my face. At first, I thought it was edited. Then I noticed the date printed in the corner. The photograph wasn't from next week. It was from 43 years ago. I checked it again and again. The date never changed. 43 years ago, someone who looked exactly like me had been sitting in that cafe, wearing modern clothes that didn't exist at the time, reading a newspaper from the future, and staring directly into the camera. For months, I searched for answers. I tracked down the photographer. According to public records, he had died 30 years earlier. I tracked down the cafe. The building hadn't even existed when the photograph was supposedly taken. Every clue contradicted the last. Then I discovered something nobody else had noticed. In the background of both photographs stood a clock. Same clock, same wall, same position. The first photograph showed 3:17 p.m. The second showed 3:17 p.m. too, except the second hand wasn't moving. I enlarged the image. Written beneath the clock, almost invisible, was a small plaque. 3 words. Observation Room 4. That phrase led me to a forgotten archive belonging to a research organization that officially never existed. Most of the records were destroyed. One survived. A report listing 27 individuals. The exact same 27 names from the safety deposit box. Beside every name was a status. 26 of them were marked. Observed. Mine was marked differently. Unidentified. At the very end of the report was a final note. All observers accounted for except one. Subject remains unaware he is being observed. I kept reading. The next sentence made my stomach drop. If subject discovers the photographs, observation period ends. Suddenly the photographs made sense. The list, the warnings, the impossible dates. They weren't documenting my life, they were documenting someone watching it. Then I reached the last page. There was a recent photograph attached, taken only 3 days earlier. It showed me sitting in my apartment, reading the report. The very report I was holding in my hands. The picture had been taken from directly behind me. I spun around. Nobody was there. On the back, a final message had been written. Just one sentence. Observation complete. Your replacement has been informed.